hello, welcome everybody that came.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, you can be
Hello.
heard already. Everyone that came. Welcome to my 7:30 a.m. stream. Today we're we're gonna look at some MTG lore. I really wanted to do this a long time ago.
In a galaxy far away.
But I didn't do it because I was busy being a serious person that lives in a serious world. Anyway, let's go. Let's actually do this.
Can be found in the description. My name is Spice8rack, aka Soy Celiaco, and this is the entire story of Magic the Gathering. Let's go! In the beginning, there was this chunky dragon who birthed all the other dragons on Dominaria, two of which were Nicol Bolas and Ugin.
Oh, I know. I pause. I'll pause. I'll just watch my stream to commentate. I know Nicol Bolas. Isn't that your name, real name, Nuggets? Nicol Bolas? Nicol Bolas?
I can't believe you're the progenitor dragon, Nuggets.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe your parents named you after a dragon.
Are cool but died and don't matter. Dominaria is a plane of
We need a pause
Magic the
counter.
Gatherers. What's a pause counter?
A counter for how many times I paused the video.
Ah, dude, that's gonna be a lot. Make one coming.
Okay, let's go.
existence in Magic the Gathering, separated from the rest by the blind eternities. If you're having trouble imagining it, think of planes as planets, the blind eternities as space, and me as the caring parental figure you always knew you deserved. Around this same time on Ravnica, another plane, another dragon, a sphinx, and some other freaks signed the Guild Pact, splitting the plane into 9.
Who? Rezi. Oh, it's Rakdos. Ghost Castle of Orzhova. The Orzhov. Rezi, the Azor. The Lawbringer. Niv. Oh god. Not blue, red.
Signed the Guild Pact, splitting the plane into 9 guilds and promoting peace and cooperative development between each other. For now. Back to Dominaria, and societies have developed, one of which is the Thran, and a handsome man turns up to help them out. Just kidding, it's Yawgmoth, who is a magic fascist. He is handsome though, that part was true.
It's a magic fascist.
Dyfed, who is a planeswalker, a special near god with the ability to transport between the different planes, and she takes him to an empty plane where he can house the people who are sick with a mysterious and contagious disease caused by the magic nuclear reactors that the Thran use. Just kidding, he stores them there to experiment on them and reform them into Cyberflesh nightmare bastards.
Cyberflesh nightmare bastards. Summon cleric. Tap to add an amount of black mana equal to the target artifact cast to cost your mana. Pull this effect is played as an interrupt. Oh, which is before target artifact.
The Yawgmoth guy.
Yawgmoth. Is he like Sauron?
Not sure.
Including this guy called Gix, whilst also exiling his political rivals and their goblin servants to a different plane called Mercadia. The Thran aren't jazzed by all of this, and they start a civil war. So Yawgmoth blows up an artificial moon and kills them all, but gets trapped inside his hell plane by a Thran lady who fuses together a special key that keeps the gate between the two planes shut, and then dies because of the moon. Everybody's dead, Dave. Oh, and the plane that Yawgmoth is trapped on is called Phyrexia. That's probably not going to be important later on. Time passes and some more bullshit
I know that name.
Happens. On Dominaria, a guy called Dakon forges a special sword called the Black Blade, and Nicol Bolas has a punch-up with a big squid which opens the first of Dominaria's many time rifts over Madara. On Innistrad, a New England
isn't that a guy from Naruto? Wait, that happened. I got distracted.
Has a punch up with a big squid which opens the first of Dominaria's many time rifts over Madara. On Innistrad, a New England horror plane, a chap called Edgar Markov begins the curse of
It's Markov, the one everybody keeps pretending owns the manor.
Vampirism with his grandson Sorin,
Ugin,
and a very emotional
Sorin. The guy everybody likes.
A healthy core called Nahiri seals some plane-eating monsters, the 3 Eldrazi Titans, in a mountain on Zendikar, a mana-rich plane of adventure and Nahiri's homeworld. They do this to stop them from eating the whole multiverse and use a spell that can only be broken by 3 planeswalkers assembling at the Eye of Ugin in the mountain and using Ugin's Ghost Flame. Foolproof. And back on Dominaria, 2 boys called Mishra and Urza are born.
Mishra and Urza?
No. The boys grow up to be skilled artificers, but when a
Urza from the
leads to the
spells.
death of their mentor, they become indefinite rivals.
Oh no.
That rock they were fighting over whose breaking in 2 caused their mentor's death sure does look very similar to that special key that sealed Phyrexia away from Dominaria.
Oh no.
It's probably nothing that— Yo, who the fuck are you? The brothers' feud develops into a full-blown world war, and Mishra is corrupted and changed by Phyrexia. Urza isn't a fan of either—
Wait, what? I know that card from
Probably
Arena.
nothing that— Yo, who the fuck are you? The brothers' feud develops into a full-blown world war, and Mishra is corrupted and changed by Phyrexia.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure this was in the thing.
Urza isn't a fan of either this or the prescient Phyrexian invasion and blows up a third of the plane with a megaton fruit bowl called the Golgothian Silex. He becomes a planeswalker for his troubles, and his eyes are replaced with the 2 halves of the Power Stone that he and his brother nearly destroyed the world over. How sentimental, I guess. Time passes, and Urza's Gap Century backpacking around the multiverse ends when he meets Xantia, a newt or human-turned Phyrexian, and decides
I really feel like I found myself in Kaladesh.
Wait.
Backpacking around the multiverse ends when he meets Xantia, a
Sancha. Human turned Phyrex. Oh. Sancha, I turned to under the control of an opponent of your choice. Type to show it was can't detect his own your planeswalkers. Oh. It's like goaded.
newt or human-turned Phyrexian and decides it's probably time for him to deal with the hell world that ate his brother. His assault fails, he goes mad and runs away through space with Xantia, being chased by Phyrexians to every world he passes through, some of which are destroyed as a result, and others asking him politely but firmly to leave. Urza goes back to Dominaria eventually, where Gix is waiting to meet him, and the pair fight, with Xantia sacrificing herself to save Urza and finally destroy Gix. More time passes. On the plane of Kamigawa, a Japanese folklore and later futurist-style world, the mortal emperor seals the daughter of the Kami emperor in a decorative plate to achieve immortality, and that
that's mean.
Causes a whole hullabaloo. The daughters of both emperors eventually join forces to defeat their warring parents with the help of a rogue called Toshiro Umezawa.
Wow, wait, shit, that lady's so hot. So
Michiko?
Kyodai.
Of Dominaria in exile. Azor, the Sphinx from Ravnica who set up the Azorius, causes a whole hullabaloo. The daughters of both—
Look, she's hot! Look at her! Look at all her faces!
Both emperors eventually join forces to defeat their warring parents with the help of a rogue called Toshiro Umezawa, whose actions ended up diminishing the extraplanar powers of whatever the piss.
Oh, these cards are so pretty! Oh my god, this is so hot.
This thing is, so he's blinded and sent to the plane of
What's
Dominaria in exile. Azor, the Sphinx from Ravnica—
He killed Bolas!
Damn.
You know my friend's name is Bolas! That's their real name.
Who set up the Azorius Guild, is a planeswalker, and he and Ugin try and trap Nicol Bolas with a magic disc called the Immortal Sun on Ixalan, an Aztec with dinosaurs island on a plane of the same name. But they mess up, and Azor ends up getting stuck there instead.
Bruh.
Why did they mess up? Well, as Sarkhan sees when he travels back in time on Tarkir, Ugin gets killed by Nicol Bolas in a crux of fate. But he saves the Dying Dragon and seals him in a healing cocoon. Who is Sarkhan? What is Tarkir?
A cocoon. Sorry.
Here, I'm confused what on earth is going on. You'll find out in a few thousand years. Let's check back in with Dominaria, and oh dear, it's in one of the 3 ice ages that will sporadically befall it because of Urza's Silex Blast.
Bro.
A bloke called Joda and a lady called Jaya Ballard are born and fight a necromancer called Lindor and a nightwalker called Leshrac. but both of those weirdos piss
Well,
off on their
Shrek.
own, and Jaya's spark ignites.
Le
A
Shrek.
magic freak trapped in a ring makes her lose her mind for a wee moment. Fast forward a few years,
What's the
nothing
guy?
happened. Called
Who's
Le
this?
Shrek, but both of those weirdos piss off on their own, and Jaya's spark ignites when a weird little
Weird little
magic
what?
freak
Magic freak. When the pretender enters the battle, you may exile your extra creature from your hand or graveyard and put a cage counter in it.
trapped in a ring
Huh.
makes her lose her mind for a wee moment. Fast forward a few years, nothing happened. Nothing happened, don't worry about it. And Urza's
Just
back.
a wee
Oh
moment.
no, again. He's healed his
Urza's
mind,
back.
but not his soul,
Can you
because he
rewind?
founds a school on the
What? Oh, why is that Urza? Looking like a Volo to me.
He looks like he looks like that guy from the thing we watch.
Which guy?
That Tolarian dude.
Dude, yeah, he looks like Mr. the Prof. So Urza got Jung again? Okay.
I think this is like a portrait from his past.
Is it?
island of Teleria on Dominaria, where we
Hilarious! Like that guy! Like the YouTube channel!
is about to do a whole bunch of unethical stuff to everybody who steps foot inside. Amongst those are the wizards Baron and Rain, and the students Urtai and... Oh, pissing shit!
Well,
The
explosion.
Phyrexians just snuck up and invaded the Telerian Academy, killing everybody inside. Quick, Urza, send the silver golem you just made called Karn, who's been brought to life with the
Karn,
heartstone
I
you
know
took
that
from Xanthus'
name.
corpse, you fucking
it's
weirdo.
Karn.
Back in time 24
Wait a minute! Karn is made out of his girlfriend's heartstone?
golem you just made called Karn, who's been brought to life with the heartstone that you took from Xanthus' corpse, you fucking weirdo, back in
That's
time
gay.
24 hours to prevent them from doing that. Oh, shitting piss! Urza's time machine was built by a madman with no moral compass, and of course it
By
exploded
Urza.
the minute somebody turned it on. Only a handful of people escape the invading Phyrexians, along with a bunch of students who get trapped in different time bubbles, like the
Oh,
children,
no.
Joyra and Teferi, the former of whom is
Oh,
left immortal
Teferi.
because of the time explosion, the latter of whom develops a fascination with time.
Oh,
after
Joyra! I
being
know who
trapped in a
Joyra
slow
is. I played against Joyra.
No, you used her.
I was her. I played her. You're right. Thank you for remembering reality, Meow.
time bubble.
Did you
whilst
pause
on
again?
Fire
Yes.
for 20 years.
How many times have you
Urza
paused?
then
I
decides
don't know.
that he alone can solve the problem that he first caused and has only made worse up until this point by beginning the construction of the legacy weapon to
You
once and all
lady.
destroy Phyrexia and the Jesus Christ, the Bloodlines Project. More on that later.
What's
He starts
that?
gathering bits and bobs together to build the legacy, including destroying Serra's realm, an angelic world of peace and harmony that was one of the now corrupted planes that he unwittingly led Phyrexians to. Thankfully, Urza apologized at least
Is
a
it-
few times for all of the trouble, as he shrinks
he
all of the
still
energy of the
over
plane
it?
down into a battery
No.
to power his big gun and erases it from existence. God, Urza sucks so bad. We temporarily zip off to the feudal plane of Algrotha to see some dwarves, vampires, and a
Ew.
Marge Simpson creepypasta duke it out over a
That's
magical
true.
wind chime. But none of
That's
it has
funny.
any bearing on the main narrative. Speaking of the
Why?
main narrative, however, Joyra and Teferi move to a land called Zalfia on Dominaria. Tetsuo Umezawa, a distant descendant of Toshiro, slays Nicol Bolas. Holy shit, what a chad. The elder dragons on the plane of Archivus end a period of violence so tremendous that it's known as the Blood Age and establish
no.
the School of Strixhaven to study
Yay,
and preserve magical
Strixhaven!
knowledge. And Nahiri is awoken from her meditative watch on Zendikar as the Eldrazi test the bounds of their prison. She fights off their broods and recontains
Oh, it's
them,
this hot
wondering where
lady.
Sorin and Ugin are. She finds Sorin on
Chandra?
Innistrad,
Oh, it's
threatening
the
him that
K
if he
hot
doesn't
lady.
get his alabaster ass to Zendikar to fix things up lickety-split, I swear to God, and then Sorin seals her in a magical moonshard prison called the Hell Vault with the help of an archangel he created called Avacyn and leaves her there for thousands of
Avacyn.
years. You know, for an ageless vampire and a planeswalker, Sovereign sure is short in both temper and sight. We yet again return to Dominaria, where Teferi's new home,
Avacyn.
itself a place of
I
great
think
magical learning,
Avacyn
phases
whacked-
out of
whacked
existence
Meowdy in
because
the
of
head.
Teferi's time magic meddling, during
Oh,
which the
no.
The
Mad
other
Spark
day.
ignites, and a bunch of powerful mages all
Teferi!
convene to work out what exactly happened. The obviously villain-coded one turns out to be a big-time villain who wants all the knowledge and power for himself, and
Look
the
at them,
Mirage
they're
War
hot.
breaks out. 200 years later, Teferi
Mirage
turns up
War.
and is like, good lord, what happened here? And defeats the bad guy, who then gets gets trapped in the Amber Prison by the good guy that the bad guy had previously trapped in the Amber Prison during the war.
That's fun. Deserved.
They're also assisted by a lady called Sisay, who's traveling on a flying ship called the Weatherlight. But wait, the who traveling on the what? Sisay was born to a Zalfiran family, now slain by Phyrexians, who was given the skyship Weatherlight by Urza for safekeeping after he grew from the weather seed that he was given by an angry tree after he convinced him that destroying an entire continent with a magical hydrogen bomb was totally fine and cool, actually. Sisay's on a quest to gather together all the legacy artifacts, a series of items that, when combined together, will form the legacy weapon, because loads of them have been stolen. Stolen from where and by whom, you ask? Well,
stolen from where? And by whom?
Came in there a little bit late, Rowan. Come on. Chop chop, trying to record here. They'd been given to the parents of Gerard Capuchin, who'd passed them down to him when they had also been targeted and slain by Phyrexians.
Oh, it's just a random guy.
Was rescued from the Phyrexians by Khan, who Urza had also gifted to the Capuchin family, because Urza is a scumbag who values his right of ownership over the sentience of the things he owns, and then was adopted by a Jamuran warlord called Sidar Kondo. The syntax of that sentence sounds like Urza was adopted. No, it was Gerard. Urza deserves no family. Sidar immediately took a liking to Gerard over his biological son, Vuel, who grows to resent Gerard so much that he attacks his father's camp, stealing all of the legacy artifacts, including Khan, who he tricks into killing an innocent child, thus converting the silver golem to a lifetime of pacifism, and flees to a plane called Wrath through a portal. Sisay hires Gerard onto the Weatherlight.
Look how sad Karn looks.
A lifetime of pacifism, and
look at that! Hey, look at how sad he looks! He looks so sad!
Like, I hate
why did they do it? Gerard? What's his name? Gerard?
Urza?
The asshole.
A plane called Wrath through a portal.
No, the other guy.
Gerard onto the Weatherlight, along with a bunch of other people, including the totally normal human Krovax,
Ginger,
the Cat Warrior, the Navigator Hannah, the Talarian graduate Urtai, and the Goblin Squee. And then they all set off to
the cat.
NANI?
A lifetime of pacifism, and flees to a plane called Wrath through a portal. Sisay hires Gerard onto the Weatherlight along with a bunch of other people, including the totally normal human Krovax, Miri the Cat Warrior.
Totally human? Wait lang. Give me a second. Whenever any of your creature damages a creature, player gain 1 life. Here's from the wealthy noble. The answer may lie in joining the crew. Okay.
Krovax, Miri the Cat Warrior.
She's so hot. Not my type though.
The Navigator Hannah.
Maybe Nuggets is
the
that.
Talarian graduate.
Look at this guy. He looks like he looks, you know, back in the day when when people like did their hair up with hairspray and were into like music.
Urtai and the Goblin Squee. And then
Squee! Beginning of your upkeep, you may return Squee Goblin Nabob from your graveyard to your hand.
They all set off to wait a minute, where did Sisay go? Whilst we were distracted doing introductions, she got kidnapped, of course, by someone called Volrath, and now the whole crew need to fly to Wrath to get her back. Luckily, the Weatherlight can plane shift. It's like the TARDIS, but a boat and can't do the time thing. Oh, also, the nice elf that was on the crew, yeah, he gets killed by some German children's book illustrations. Now,
well, those are
not the German children.
Not killed by German children, lol.
Kidnapped, of course, by someone called Volrath, and now the whole crew need to fly to Wrath to get her back.
Can't believe he paused like
plane shift.
2
it's
times
like the
so
TARDIS,
quickly.
But a boat and can't do the time thing. Oh, also, the nice elf that was on the crew, yeah, he gets killed by some German children.
Look at them! Wow, that's so good!
Children's book illustrations. Now on Wrath,
Not
an
the cute
occupied world
elf
of
on
weird
board.
adaptive rock, Gerard leads the native elves in a revolt against Volrath. Krovax's guardian angel gets corrupted and he has to kill her and then becomes a vampire because of a family curse and then turns evil and falls off the Weatherlight. Khan is rescued along with some other legacy artifacts, but not before being psychologically tortured by being thrown into a funhouse rotating room with a bunch of weak goblins who his massive silver body crushes to death. Turns out that Volrath is the Phyrexianized Vuel. His own magic skyboat damages the Weatherlight's plane-shifting matrix, so they have to escape through a portal that Urtai has been keeping open. Although, when they do leave, they're being chased by Volrath's ship, so they do manage to pick him up on the way, and he stays trapped on Wrath as the portal closes. Where do they end up?
All of them were dying real
It's been a
fast.
while since we've seen them, and wouldn't you know it,
Oh,
all
not
of the Thran
Mercadia.
that Yawgmoth exiled here have developed a society where the descendants of their goblin servants are now the dominant social ethnic group. Remember, kids, when education is not
Hell yeah.
liberating,
Let's
the
go.
dream of the
Goblin Tower.
oppressed is to become the oppressor. The Weatherlight crew find the rest of the legacy artifacts here, a bunch of gems that had mighty morphing Power Rangered themselves into a robot god dragon. They defeat the Phyrexians chasing them, including
People usually change their names when they go Phyrexian.
Volrath, and Hannah and Gerard fall in love. Then
Oh,
they all
man.
return home, just in time to stop the Phyrexian invasion. Oh wait, it's already started. Oh dearie me. It's invasion time, and
Oh,
Urza's
no.
been busy with his many
Oh,
projects.
no.
He's bred a race of super soldiers from Thran DNA called the Metathran to act as his personal army.
Wait, sorry, is this
No.
Way to
Urza
defeat
again?
one godlike
He
eugenicist
bred people.
is with another, slightly different godlike eugenicist.
Huh.
He also assembles a group of planeswalkers called the Nine
Yo,
Titans
why is
to take
Yawgmoth
the fight
hot?
to the heart of Phyrexia itself as Dominaria
told
is
ya.
invaded. There would have been 10 Titans, but when Urza asked a fairy to join in, the Time Mage said, "Work with you? Are you kidding me? Every catastrophe on this plane and in my life can be traced back to you. Sort your own problems out. I'm out of here." And
It's like the
phases out of
X-Men.
existence, taking the nations of Zalfir and Shiv with him. Meanwhile, Hannah and Gerard's relationship is going great until Hannah
Bruh.
catches a Phyrexian plague and dies. Her
Bruh.
dad, the wizard Baron, who used to work at the Tellurian College, is distraught, and Urza's like, "Man, I'm sorry I manipulated you into falling in love and having a child with your co-worker Rain just so I could breed people with strong connections to white mana to one day become part of the legacy
Fuck you,
by
Urza.
sacrificing their life for it." That's also the reason that Gerard and Sisay were born as well. It was all part of Operation Bloodline, you see. I've been clandestinely selectively breeding human beings and pulling the strings to make sure they all end up together, so I guess it's a little bit of my fault that all of this went down. Sorry, that was
Is this
probably a
grooming?
bad time to drop the
Is he-
some of your
has
most
he
beautiful life
groomed
events
these
were all
people?
instigated by
These
you,
legendary
like,
heroes?
alpha
He's
genetics or
groomed
wizard
them?
Nazi.
He's
You gonna be okay,
really
chap?
humor.
Baron blows up the entire of the Tellurian continent with him still on it, unfortunately not killing Urza, and the
Bro.
Dominarians manage to push back the Phyrexians and destroy their invasion portals. Congratulations, folks, we've defeated the Phyrexians once and for all. Hey, what's that shimmering landscape seemingly coming into
Oh,
existence
no.
across every continent on Dominaria? Well,
Oh,
that's the
no.
Wrathy overlay that Yawgmoth is using to teleport the entire Phyrexian army and the plane of Wrath itself straight
Oh,
onto
no.
Dominaria and occupy the entire world at once.
Oh, no.
Bugger. Squee gets captured by Yawgmoth and given
It
to
is
Krovax, who's
Spice8rack.
taken Volrath's place as the Evancar of Wrath, and also to the newly corrupted Urtai as a plaything. They give him the gift of immortality just so that they can kill him forever. The Nine Titans decide that now is the time to invade Phyrexia and cut the
Actually.
invasion off at the source, but then just a whole lot of betraying happens.
That's what we do with Squee anyway. Everybody just keeps him there to kill him. And that's the
Everybody.
strategy. When you got Squee.
Tevesh Zat, the most
You gotta
obviously
squeeze
evil of all
everything
the
out of
Nine
him.
Titans, kills Daria and Christina of the Woods because he was secretly working for Phyrexia.
Oh,
but then
no.
Urza reveals that he knew Tevesh would betray him, and so betrays Tevesh
Who
and
is
stuffs
this
it in
guy
a
even?
contraption that'll act as a
Where
spirit
did he
bomb
come
to
from?
destroy Phyrexia. He could have,
Maybe
of
he's
course,
like an
done this
evil
at any
card.
time, meaning that Daria and Christina absolutely died for nothing. But then
Bruh.
Urza, upon being in Phyrexia and not getting his ass beat, is like, huh, this whole place is actually kind of impressive when you think about it, and dismantles the contraption so as to preserve Phyrexia. So, you died for even less than nothing, you two. Then Gerard turns up and cuts Urza's head off for being a fucking rube. Yawgmoth promised him that if he killed Urza, he'd resurrect
Bro.
Hannah. But then Gerard betrays Yawgmoth and escapes from Phyrexia with Urza's head, whose eyes, being two halves of the Power Stone
Bro.
that he and Mishra found all those years ago, are the final pieces of the legacy weapon. Oh, and
Nurgle is
Squee
the Lord
kind
of
of
Chaos.
betrays his role
Nice.
as an infinite murder toy by killing Krovax whilst he's
No,
distracted with all of
Squee.
these other betrayals going
Yeah.
on. Some of the remaining Titans who are still on Phyrexia blow up their own
Nurgle
soul
the Lord.
bombs, almost totally destroying the plane, and Yawgmoth says, if you want a job done properly, you gotta do it yourself, and invades Dominaria as a death cloud which ends up killing all life on the plane before the legacy weapon gets activated. And that's it. That's how the story ends. Gerard, Urza, even Squee all dead, with Phyrexia winning an ultimate but Pyrrhic victory.
No.
Quay.
At which point, Commodore Goth, one of the last remaining Titans, looks up from the book where all of this is written down and goes, "That was a tad dreary, wasn't it?" And Bolivar, another remaining Titan, is like, "Wait, you knew that was gonna happen? Change it, you stupid ass." So Guff rewrites the ending just as both of them are consumed by the death cloud and literally retcons the whole narrative so that Jared managed to sacrifice himself just in time to destroy York.
And he uses
because
crayon to
Commodore
do it.
Guff has the power of meta storytelling. No, this isn't a pithy gag, that's literally his Planeswalker power. And after all of this, Khan ascends to being a Planeswalker. Trust me, there are worse ways to end a multi-year build-up to a Phyrexian invasion. But now we're in a period of peace and rebuilding as Dominaria takes a breather.
Oh my god, is that Aftermath?
Is discovered, which is said to grant great power and wishes, and the entire continent of Otaria, which means loser in Portuguese by the way, goes to war with each other over it. A lady with an unlit Planeswalker spark called Jeska is born as a pit fighter and killed by her brother, who's driven mad by the Mirari. She's brought back by the Cabal, a totally legitimate business enterprise, as Phage, like King Midas, but with death rather than gold. She goes to war with the Cabal's rival, a guy called Ixidor, and an angel he created, but then gets killed again by her brother. This time because he's been working on himself and is sorry about what his Mirari madness has caused. So he stabs her with the Mirari sword that he'd previously given up and then reclaimed when he realised that leaving it in the woods was having some annihilation-style effects on the local flora and fauna. But then, because of some 20,000-year-old prophecy bollocks and the power of the Mirari now stuck in her chest, Jeska/Phage comes back as Corona, spelt with a K, YouTube, a very manifestation of all of Dominaria's mana. But because of her Planeswalker spark, she's also able to explore the multiverse. But because of the Mirari, she's also kind of mad. Her existence and habit of leaving the plane starts to drain Dominaria of all of its mana, so Khan manages to take her to an artifact plane called Argentum and takes the Mirari out of her to destroy this version of her form, rebirthing her for a third and final time as Jeska again, and finally igniting her Planeswalker spark.
Yay,
Speaking of the birth of Planeswalkers, a girl called Liliana is born around here to a wealthy Dominarian family, but her brother falls sick with leftover Phyrexianitis. She meets a nice man with bird motifs in the woods, and he tells her to use a special herb to preserve her brother's life. This works exactly as one could have expected, immediately turning her brother into a zombie, and the trauma of that ignites her spark. Don't trust men with ravens.
He's so hot, though. Like, he's actually hot.
Her brother's life. This works exactly as one could have expected, immediately turning her brother into a zombie, and the trauma of that
messed up. See your fave, baby girl. Dude, she's so hot. Even before I knew what Magic the Gathering was, I already knew she was hot. She was already in my brain, you know?
Ignites her spark. Don't trust men with ravens. That's like one of the first 3 rules you learn about in forest navigation. But now we take a big break from Dominaria. Khan's on Argentum and transforms the Mirari into a metal man called Memnarch, both to watch over the plane and to keep the Mirari from falling into a villain's hands, but a single drop of Phyrexian oil leaks out of his butthole because he's still powered by Xantia's Phyrexian heart, and it begins to corrupt the plane and its new custodian. Over several decades, the oil both drives Memnarch mad and lets him grow meat on his metal body, gross. He renames the plane to Mirrodin, kills all the native golems, and starts kidnapping creatures from other planes to breed a Planeswalker spark. He finally succeeds with Glissa Sunstalker.
Oh, Glissa!
Atog sounds like a Visaya word.
Sunseeker. Yeah, seeking is the less creepy version of stalking. He succeeds when Glissa Sunseeker is born, but she organizes with a group of other Mirrans to stop Memnarch's plans. But in a final confrontation, both the elf and the wizard are slain just as Memnarch's machine activates and wipes out all life on Mirrodin, except for that of the goblin Slowbad, who the machine accidentally implants with Planeswalker powers rather than Memnarch. Khan shows up, the barriers blocking him from the plane now gone, and offers to guide Slowbad throughout the multiverse. But the goblin decides instead to give up his spark to undo the death wave, resurrect Glissa, and return all but the non-natively born creatures of Mirrodin to their own worlds. Goblin Jesus is then fittingly murdered for our sins by a clan of very confused and angry goblins, and the Mirari was given to Glissa for safekeeping. She must have hid it very well, because even the writers of Magic Story have forgotten it existed for the past 20 years. Smash cut to Ravnica, where everything is fine. Just kidding, a civil war is about to break out because of some proper film noir bollocks. A secret 10th guild, the Demir, led by Zadek, a vampire, is planning on taking over the city world for themselves. But they're
what's
stopped
happened?
and Zadek is arrested just in Smash
I
cut
think
to
we're in, like,
cut to
Ravnica.
Ravnica,
Oh,
where everything is
we're in
fine.
Ravnica.
Just kidding, a civil war is about to break out because of
Oh,
some
no.
proper film noir bollocks. A secret 10th guild, the Demir, led by Zadek, a vampire, is planning on taking over the city world for themselves. But they're stopped, and Zadek is arrested just in the nick of time by Agris Kos, a down-on-his-luck Boros cop from a failed marriage with a drinking problem who's just one day away from retirement.
Bro.
Hey, I'm a
Okay,
storytelling trope over here. Hooray, the city is saved. But Zadek getting arrested was actually all part of the plan. Because the Demir's purpose as secretly written in the Guild Pact was to oppose the Guild Pact, Zadek's machinations were well within his guild's duties, and so his arrest breaches the magical contract which protects guilds in their assigned roles and destroys the Guild Pact entirely, which was Zadek's plan all along. But then, the leader of the Azorius assassinates Zadek in prison to use his ghost as a weapon to seize power for himself. But then, Kos, who's a ghost now because of a dragon-related incident in which he saved the city for a second time, traps Zadek's soul himself and unleashes that on Augustin, saving Ravnica for a third time. A new non-magical guild pact is drafted by Teysa Karlov to bring about an end to all of these contrivances, and a very tenuous peace is reformed on Ravnica.
Teysa hot.
Wait, what was that sound? Oh, it's
Mending.
Okay, so you remember all the space-time disasters that were going on Dominaria throughout its history? Well, turns out they've taken quite a toll on the entire multiverse, and now they need to be fixed or everyone everywhere all at once will unravel and cease to be. Teferi, Jessica, Lord Windgrace, Freyleys, and some new kids on the block, Rada and Venser, come together to close the time rifts. Both Catman and Poison Ivy die closing theirs. Teferi gives up his spark to close his, returning Shiv to Dominaria but being unable to return Zalfir. Jessica gets manipulated by Leshrac, who returns to the story just long enough to get killed by a resurrected Nicol Bolas,
No, it's
who came back
Leshrac.
because of the rift that he opened whilst fighting that Leviathan 1,000 years ago. Nicol Bolas uses Leshrac's life to close that rift, then Jessica dies herself, closing the rift that had been caused by her rebirth as
there she
Corona.
goes.
Rest in peace, baby girl.
Jessica.
Khan closes the final rift by going back in time to the Isle of Teleria before Baron blew it up and sacrificing his spark. He's flung back to the present and immediately feels the corrupting Phyrexian oil in his heart, which had up until this point been kept dormant due to his spark, beginning to overtake him. He uses the last of his Planeswalker magic to flee to the heart of Mirrodin and contain himself there, leaving a message that none should follow. This final rift sealing not only saves the multiverse, but significantly depowers all Planeswalkers. Rather than being near gods, they now must contend with only being hyper-powerful mages and warriors. They're also on cards now, which 20-something years later, everyone agrees was a great narrative move and kind of a mechanical mistake.
Hot. Okay, player discards a card, search your library for a card, then shuffle your library and put the card out.
At the same time as all of this, Kamigawa completes its digital revolution, very cool. Nicol Bolas turns up on Amonkhet and genocides the plane of everyone over the age of 5 and begins his cruel plans to reascend to become a pre-mending god. Whack. Liliana is guided by Nicol Bolas to 4 demons to sign her soul away in exchange for some cool full-body contractual tattoos and also eternal youth and lots of power. Concerning. And an elf called Nissa is born. Ooh! On Zendikar, the young Nissa feels a connection to the world which is roiling with pain because of those 3 skyscraper-sized eldritch splinters trapped in one of its mountain ranges. Nissa goes to investigate what's hurting her world and is mind-blasted into planeswalking to a world called Lorwyn. Starlight to Lorwyn, and holy macaroni, what a delightful Celtic-inspired world of an eternal summer's afternoon that a really cool person who's also good at sex made a totally not bloated video essay about. Everything's pretty good on Lorwyn, except for the elf Nazis, who Nissa meets hunting down the plane's native goblins for quite literally the crime of being ugly. As it turns out, however, the plane has an inverted side that overtakes the world every 300 years. Nissa sees this happening and skedaddles before she's caught in the world-altering aurora, which transforms Lorwyn into Shadowmoor, where everybody but the elves are Nazis. Is that worse? I guess. Una, Nazi elves, knew the shift was coming and made a copy of herself that would retain her memories when the aurora came so that she could remain in control of the world. The copy, an elf called Marilyn, was like, actually, I'm gonna fuck off on my own for a bit. And when the aurora hit, ended up defeating Una and restoring the day-night cycle of Lorwyn and Shadowmoor rather than it being a thrice-centennial event.
You
Why
know,
not
that's,
celebrate this victory
that's
with
funny.
another baby? Tezzeret is born on Esper, a cruel
Oh,
artificial realm where
Tezzeret! I
people are
have a
partially
card
made of
of
metal, with the
Tezzeret.
upper class's bodies being supplemented with precious Ethereum, and metal must always be recycled. He ferociously
Ooh.
pushes to train himself and ascend the class structure, but when he's rebuffed one too many times, he tries to steal the filigree texts.
Oh my
Essentially,
god,
this world's
shit.
equivalent
Young Tezzeret was hot. That guy was hot.
of the Quran, Encyclopedia Britannica, and The Way Things Work all rolled into one. But he finds the author pulled a Kung Fu Panda dragon scroll where every page is blank, and the guards try and kill him as his Planeswalker spark ignites and he meets Nicol Bolas, who promises him power in exchange for service. Ow! My brain! Was that an overload of faux lore knowledge? No, that was Jace Beleren being born on a Tales from the Loop-looking war world as a dirt-poor but hyper-powerful mind mage who gets trained in the art of mind thievery by the Sphinx Alejandro.
Manango.
Turns out, however, that old Al is manipulating Jace into carrying out espionage for both sides of the civil war and profiteering off of it. So Jace makes him forget how to breathe, which is the sickest way a mind mage could ever kill someone, and Al Hammerit wipes the boy's mind with his last act, which causes Jace's Planeswalker spark to activate, and he finds himself on Ravnica with no knowledge of who he is. He ends up working for a multiversal requisitions organization called the Infinite Consortium, ran by the most inconsistently drawn character in Magic the Gathering's entire history. What does the Infinite Consortium do? Well, its boss Tezzeret made a deal with the Phyrexian forces growing in the heart of Mirrodin and developed a device on Kamigawa, which he then tried to use to control the spirit dragon Kyodai to enable travel between realms for non-Planeswalker Phyrexians. But his plan fails and instead ignites the Emperor of Kamigawa's Planeswalker spark, rendering both it and her memory unstable, and she disappears from the plane. Then her childhood friend Kato gets an origami robot Tanuki with a spirit inside it that ignites his spark, and he goes looking for her. So yeah, they do stuff like that. But Jace isn't the only baby among us. Chandra Nalav, daughter of the inventor Renegade's PM, is born and becomes a pyromancer, which is both rare and illegal on her Cogpunk India-inspired homeworld of Kaladesh. And soon a pig called Baral tracks her family down, kills her dad, and then Chandra explodes him and planeswalks to Ragatha to train in the pyromancer ways. I guess blue lives don't matter after all. Zing! A planeswalker called Vivian Reed is also born around this time on Scala.
Oh, I have that exact card!
Destroyed by Nicol Bolas for some reason. She is entrusted with the Arc Bow, both a magical database for all of her home plane's native fauna, but also a powerful weapon designed explicitly to be a weapon to destroy Nicol Bolas. Elspeth, another planeswalker, is also born around here. G is like someone was putting chemicals in the water.
My friend once attacked me with that exact card, I think. Yeah, that exact card attacked me once.
To turn the freaking baby's magic. It's not entirely clear where she was born, as her mother says that the plane of Capenna welcomed them, and Elspeth herself prays to Serra of Serra's realm fame, potentially meaning that they're refugees from one of the realms that the angel planeswalker visited. Either way, she has a pretty normal childhood, being kept in a Phyrexian prison for most of her life. Yes, the Phyrexians are on Capenna as well. Her spark igniting the moment before she suffers death via vivisection, arriving on the ancient Greek-inspired plane of Theros, finding a sword that falls out of the stars, panicking, and planeswalking away yet again to Bant, a literal evangelical crusader plane that only gets a pass because rhino monks and lion knights are dope to look at.
Oh my god!
Kithian is our last magic infant born around this time and is naturally indestructible. He runs with a crew of trouble-quelling kids in the Therosian city of Akros and gets arrested. Growing up in a prison, he learns how to use law magic, but instead
That's just. Children must be imprisoned for doing crimes.
What crimes did they do exist?
Be bad. Illegal things, you know. Illegal.
Of becoming a narc, he ends up returning to a life of community defense, getting noticed by the god of the sun Heliod and given a magic spear. He uses Heliod's magic to slay a zombie giant like the god asked of him, but when he tries to use it to kill Erebos, the god of the dead himself, the magic backfires, killing all of his friends, leaving him traumatized, igniting his spark, and planeswalking to Bant. The first person he meets can't pronounce Grecian-style names, calling him Gideon, and the kid just kind of runs with it for the rest of his life.
Gideon.
Let's check in with
Oh
Tezzeret.
my god, he was Gideon!
He's got home only to be usurped from running his consortium by Jace, and they fight, with Jace blowing up Mr. Meccano's brain as well as cutting off his liquid metal arm. Nicol Bolas then turns up and quietly collects his one-time rival's body, Tezzeret having originally usurped the consortium from the dragon. Nicol Bolas revives him, gives him a new arm, and then brands him with a forehead tattoo to forever remind him of where his loyalty now lies. Jesus. But Jace wasn't alone. Liliana has been manipulating him, both strategically and romantically, into staging the coup. She's on her own quest to rid herself of her demon contract whilst retaining
Oh, I know that man! I have that man!
I don't like him. What is he? I'm scared.
He's the guy that I whacked you with when we played Jumpstart.
Maybe that's why I got whacked.
It gave her, and finds a gaudy face accessory in some ogre's tomb. She uses the Chain Veil's dark magic to destroy one of the 4 signatory demons who own her soul, and also to curse another planeswalker called Garruk when the two get into a fight. Garruk fails to junt her out, and she escapes as the curse begins to corrupt him. Wait, what the pissing Nora does junt her out mean? Could it possibly be referring to the Shard of Jund, part of the fractured plane called Alara where Bant, Esper, Grixis and Naya were all once one? Gee, I wonder what would happen if they all converged together again. That's the question on Nicol Bolas's weird lips. You see, the plane was once unified, but an unknown planeswalker plundered the plane for mana and shattered it into 5. Now Bolas seeks to reunify the shards and siphon the immense power that would generate to roid up his planeswalker spark again. He starts manipulating the magic and people of all the 5 shards into bringing about the conflux, but is ultimately stopped from succeeding by Ajani, a Leonin planeswalker and disaster magnet who uses soul magic to conjure an effigy of Bolas's soul and uses it to banish the dragon from the newly unified plane, and all is well. Just kidding. Turns out the Crusader Kingdom doesn't like Zombie World, which doesn't care for Magic Amazon, who dislikes Reddit's idea of Utopia, which wants to destroy Jurassic Park, which wants to eat modded CK3,
so they just
and now the whole world's at war. Let's get out of here and head to Zendikar. We're back, baby!
Oh no!
Chandra arrives after having stolen a magical text called the Dragon Scroll. Sarkhan's also here, an exiled Mardu clansman from the hyper-orientalist plane of Tarkir, who loves dragons so much he will one day cause genocides just to hang out with them at home. He saw Bolas on Alara, and because he's at a level of horny for dragons that ought to be illegal, willingly becomes his pawn and is hanging out guarding something called the Eye of Ugin, whatever that is. Chandra turns up because something about the spell she's trying to crack mentioned the Eye of Ugin, and Sarkhan attacks her but is thwarted by Jace, who turns up because the consortium was hired to retrieve the scroll from Chandra. Chandra uses the magic of the scroll to defeat Sarkhan, and it turns out that that magic is Ugin's Ghostfire. 3 planeswalkers plus Ghostfire plus Eye of Ugin equals Eldrazi O'Clock, baby! Hold on to your butts, they're about to either get mad or weird or dusty. Allegedly, this was all part of Bolas's master plan, with him manipulating Chandra into seeking the scroll and then hiring the consortium through a proxy to hunt her down.
On proxy, you mean the thing people do in MTG now?
Forming the very organization that will one day defeat him. Nissa ends up rushing to the Eye along with Solon to try and undo the damage, but ends up deciding instead to totally free the Eldrazi, hoping that they'll just piss off into magic space or something after having been trapped for so long in her world's mountains. This totally doesn't work, although even if it had, she would have just doomed another world to being completely devoured by Abstract Galactus, and instead Ulamog the Destroyer, Emrakul the Corruptor, and Kozilek, the one who traps you in your level's geometry, starts rampaging through.
That guy's getting reprinted soon. Or is it a new Emrakul card? Or is it just the same Emrakul card? Either way.
And destroying Zendikar. Great job, Nissa. You smell. Gideon turns up, punches a few thousand monsters, and then starts traveling the multiverse, petitioning other planeswalkers to join the fight against the Eldrazi. Kinda like a Shen Yun world tour, except Gideon isn't the uncritically accepted PR campaign of a literal cult who uses anti-communist sentiment to promote a religion whose spiritual leader claims to be a messiah sent to Earth to fight the aliens who allegedly introduced the evils of evolutionary thought, homosexuality, and race mixing to our planet. Look, I lived in London for like half a year. Seeing at least 4 of these posters on my way to and from work each day instilled a pressurized contempt in me that occasionally needs to be released or I'll suffer a hernia. Wait, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, Koth. Koth is a Volshock planeswalker from Mirrodin who's following Gideon's lead in asking for help with his own problem, the re-emergence of Phyrexian creatures and corruption in his homeworld.
Is that where all our artifacts come from?
And oh boy, do they find some shit when they arrive. People are getting oiled up left, right, and center. Glisser's now on Team Goo. 5 new Phyrexian Praetors are winning out against the 5 respective areas of Mirrodin, who
Oh
are all
god,
too
the
caught up
oiled
in
up.
petty
The
squabbles or
oil.
in action far too long.
That's why
after
there's
the threat became
oil.
apparent,
That's why
and
people are
Khan's being
oily.
worshipped.
Oh, this is my favorite event. Catch the greased up deaf guy. You're never gonna catch me. You're wasting your time. Forget about it. Go do something else.
As the new father of machines in Mirrodin's core. The plane is almost completely lost to Phyrexia apart from a few minor wins. First, Venser gives up his spark to Khan, freeing him from the corruption and letting him escape from the plane, although dying in the process, and Koth remains to fight alongside the Mirren Resistance, a ragtag group of people from all over the world who take their protracted Mirren's war quite literally underground. Amongst them as well is a lady called Melira, who seems to be uniquely immune to the effects of Phyresis. The 5 Praetors, Urabrask, Jin-Gitaxis, Vorinclex, Sheldred, and most importantly, Elish Norn, are now in almost total control of Mirrodin and rename it New Phyrexia. Bloody colonizers. We move on over to Innistrad now, where... Oh Christ, what's going on? The Archangel that Sauron created to protect the plane is nowhere to be found, allowing for devils, demons, and little steampunk freaks to run the show. Liliana shows up to locate another one of her 4 demon masters, Grizzlebrand, and is pursued by an increasingly moldy Garrick. She discovers that both the Archangel and Demon Master tripped over each other and fell into the Hell Vault, and goads the protector of the prison, a lady called Thalia, into either destroying the rock or letting all of her men be slaughtered by Liliana's zombies. She relents and breaks the Hell Vault, allowing for the return of Avacyn as well as many of Innistrad's demons, one of which Liliana immediately kills. Sucks to be you, Grizzly, and whilst no one's paying attention, one extremely pissed off Core climbs out and teleports away. But we'll return to Innistrad later. What's been going on in Ravnica? Well, it's been a minute and Civil War has been delayed, but tensions are rising as Niv Mizzet, one of the last remaining original patrons of the guild, has discovered the Implicit Maze, a scavenger quest left behind by Azor to be found and solved in case the original guild pact was ever broken, which would designate its solver as the new living guild pact of the world. Jace ends up solving the puzzle whilst dodging assassination attempts from the Gorgon.
I didn't know that Avacyn was like a goth mommy angel, bro. I didn't know. I thought she was just an angel, but turns out she was a goth mommy angel.
Solver as the new living guild pact of the world. Jace ends up solving the puzzle whilst dodging assassination attempts from the Gorgon planeswalker Vraska by mind controlling all of the guild's champions during a final confrontation, which technically meets the maze's secret victory condition of somebody actually getting all of the guilds to cooperate for 5 minutes, and begrudgingly becomes the living guild pact of Ravnica, essentially the district attorney for the entire world. But what happened to Elspeth, I hear you cry? Well,
But what happened to Elspeth?
holy shit, Rowan, you're supposed to come in before the line. Jesus, how are you so bad at this? Well, she arrives back on Theros, hoping to find new meaning after what she feels is the final defeat at Phyrexia's hand that she can stand. Heliod notices her and the blade she's wielding and sets her on a quest to become his new champion, with sinister intentions. At the same time, the planeswalker Xenagos has grown bored of all the multiverse has to offer and decides to attain godhood on his home plane, manipulating the gods into warring with each other and using a great revel to ascend to Nyx. Elspeth, who accidentally killed a guy called Daxos, who she was man-sweet for. I've written man-sweet. I'm pretty sure I should have written mad-sweet, but man-sweet also does work. She kills him due to the fervor brought about by Xenagos' revel, and so follows the satyr into the realm of stars and defeats him, only to be slain by Heliod because, at the end of the day, all he really wanted was his sword back. Oh, and Dejani, one of Elspeth's best friends, is there, and not super jazzed by this development. Also, a fish lady called Kiora shows up and nicks the sea god's trident, and stories are written about how it was the funniest shit ever to go down. But what's going on over on...
That was funny. Like, Ajani was just there. Like, after Ajani's brother died. Wait. After Ajani's brother died, his friend died. That's funny.
This plane, Fiora is a Renaissance Venice-looking land whose main seat of power, the high city of Paliano, is caught in a power struggle. The good king died, but then came back as a ghostly despot, and a bunch of different characters are all vying to take the throne. Let's check back in to see if any of them do so in a few years. For now, though, it's...
Oh, this is where the
Tarkir
monarch
time.
stuff
Soren
comes
arrives
from.
in Tarkir looking for
Soren
Ugin because
is
he should have
so
shown
hot.
up when the Eldrazi got out of their prison, but all he finds are the bones of the long-dead spirit dragon. Bones that Sarkhan also shows up at thanks to a guided tour from the leader of the Jeskai monks, Narset. Sarkhan's now
I see.
disillusioned with Nicol Bolas and hearing a new dragon's voice in his head, which
Who
he
is
suspects
it?
is that of Ugin. Narset
Ugin.
gets knackered by Zergo Helmsmasher, Sarkhan's bitter old boss, but before the Dragon Man can do anything, he gets transported back in time. This is where he changes fate and saves Ugin's life after his battle with Bolas.
Aww.
You see, originally he wasn't supposed to be at their punch-up and Ugin was slain by Bolas, but now fate has been reforged and Sarkhan puts Ugin in a magically induced
So
coma
what
to heal
happens
him
now?
up.
Oh.
When Sarkhan comes back to the new future, dragons have become the total rulers over Tarkir with the mortals of the plains
Oh.
subjugated.
Oh,
You
is
see,
that why the
Ugin's presence
Tarkir
on the
one
plane
has a lot
created
of
dragon storms
dragons?
that disappeared when he died and allowed
The
for the mortal
Tarkir
clans to
deck?
reclaim their plane from the invading dragons. However, in this new timeline, Ugin's millennia-long coma intensifies these tempests, probably because this cocoon looks uncomfortable enough to produce magical night terrors and leads the dragons to winning a total victory over the
Bruh.
clans.
Give
Just
me
as a
them
sidebar,
dragons.
originally in the story, Ugin was a native to Tarkir and part of its very elemental soul, and so too, therefore, were the dragon storms, so the politics of subjugation and domination were a bit more complicated, but then he was retconned to be Bolas's twin brother, so now he's just a dominarian settler and the dragons are an intrusive occupying force. Anyway, in
Bro.
this future, all 5 of the clan's cultures have been destroyed or remade, their civilizations now exclusively function in service of dragonkind, any worship or even knowledge of their past reality is met with death via dragon breath, and this is a... good thing? Not sure about that. Anyway, Ugin wakes up in this timeline to go
Good
to
for
stop the
us.
Eldrazi, and Narset's
Good
also
for
alive
us.
and a planeswalker now, and she teleports away to, I don't know, find herself. Speaking of Zendikar, it's all hands to the pump as most of the plane has already been destroyed. An all-star team of planeswalkers including Gideon, Nissa, Jace, Kiora briefly, and Ugin arrive to combat the monsters and destroy their material forms. Ugin warns that trapping them is better because the Titans are just physical representations of the Eldrazi and imprisoning those avatars here protects the wider multiverse, but everybody simultaneously says, yeah, how well did that work out last time? And before Ugin can point out that both Nissa and Jace are super to blame for shit going sideways in the first place, Operation Blow Up Cthulhu is enacted, with Chandra jumping in to deal the final blow to Ulamog and Kozilek, saving the day and forming the Gatewatch, a Planeswalker strike team of multiversal protectors. There's
Oh.
also the sickest scene in all of Magic's history where the demon Planeswalker
called?
Obnixilis takes on all of the
Gatewatch.
Gatewatch at the same time in order to
And
destroy
they
Trapney
got
to capture
taken
Ulamog and regain his own
over
spark,
by
and manages to
Nigatasa.
almost defeat them, getting around Gideon's indestructible skin by holding his face in a puddle. I
Bro.
pressed his face down hard into
Damn,
the muddy
he got
water.
Bruce
He
Willis.
thrashed and
Bro.
flailed. He sputtered and coughed, struggling
Bruce
to get
Willis.
purchase. I could
that's
feel
how
the
Bruce Willis
despair
died.
I
and
know.
fear as his hands
I
slipped in
know.
the mud.
He was allergic to water.
Invulnerability was no match for 3 inches of dirty water.
Bro.
Not entirely sure why the voice
should
of
have
Obnixilis
just
in my
drank it.
head is that of a disgruntled southern dandy, but
Just
I'll be
3
damned
inches,
if I
right?
don't point
That should
out
be
ice-cold lines
drinkable.
when they appear. But
Maybe
wait,
just
Oh my
allergic to
god, he
toxins,
died! That guy from Nuggets first D&D game with me. That's like the guy.
destroyed. Where's Emrakul? Well, over to the greener pastures of Innistrad, where... Fuck me, what now? Everyone's losing their minds for some reason, including Avacyn and 2 of her sisters, forcing
Bro.
Soren to slay his Archangel before she kills any
Bro.
more innocent people. Demons,
Bro,
zombies,
poor
and devils are
Avacyn.
making a big comeback, and a new cult worshipping a new symbol has cropped up.
Ah.
Jace arrives to investigate the ruckus and finds that Nahiri has been manipulating the population and the very land itself to guide Emrakul to the plane, to do to Innistrad what she blames Soren for bringing to Zendikar. She also
Bro.
kills most of Soren's vampire family before trapping him in a wall like how he stuffed her in the Hell Vault. A funny prank in amidst a
Deserved.
magical genocide. Avacyn's death breaks down the final barrier needed for Emrakul to arrive, and the Gatewatch gather to
no.
seal her away in the silver moon of the plane with
He's
Liliana
so
and
cute,
Tanya's help, the
Emrakul.
former of which begrudgingly agreeing to join the Gatewatch afterwards, and Innistrad is
Aw.
left with just one angel watching
Liliana's
over it.
so
Both
hot.
Nissa and Tamia report afterwards that they didn't act of their own volition, and Emrakul had manipulated them into sealing her away for some reason. However, this has never been addressed in the last 8 years of Magic's narrative, so who knows if this interesting tidbit has any plot relevance. Speaking of plot relevance, how are things going on Fiora? Well, this ghost assassin called Kaya was hired
Oh,
to kill the
Kaya.
king. Very cool.
She was in
but as a
the
result,
last
an
thing.
infamous native assassin has taken over the city.
In
Less cool. Some riotous
Carlov Manor.
goblins, dispossessed naturalists, and
Marchesa!
ex-members of the guard are all jostling to lead a revolution against her. Which faction will take the crown? Who knows? Conspiracy 3 hasn't been released yet. Back to the actual story. The Gatewatch then travels to Kaladesh after being hired by a planeswalker called Darvin Ban, who wants them to run security for the Plains Inventors Fair. Chandra discovers that her mum is alive and still doing cool revolutionary stuff, but she, her mum, and Nissa get captured by a severely burnt but still alive
crushes on
Baral
Chandra?
and are to be executed in combat with the head judge of the fair, who,
He's somebody's
surprise,
wife,
surprise,
too?
is Tezzeret. However, the
Oh,
sudden appearance of
Tezzeret,
the
here
rest
he
of the
comes.
Gatewatch, along with Ajani, who signed up to their
why is
naming
he
list a
hot
little
there?
bit earlier, causes
don't know.
Tezzeret to flee, and he uses the confusion to decree the seizure of all the fair's inventions, causing the entire city of Girapur to be erupted in revolution. The renegade successfully defeats the consulate, but not before Tezzeret steals the most important invention, a planar bridge, which can transport
Oh, no.
non-living material across planes by fusing it into his chest and planeswalking away. The Gatewatch follow
Bro.
Tezzeret and end up on
He
Amonkhet,
slurped
a
it.
world mostly populated by zombies
Amonkhet?
and sand, which is coarse and dry and gets everywhere. They make it to the plane's last remaining city, a gorgeous little slice of the world called Naktamun, where people
Aw.
from 5 different temples fight against each other in deadly competitions for the chance to pass from the
Oh my
city
God,
through the
furries.
gates to the afterlife, where they are promised paradise. Chandra discovers a dissenter from this system, Samut, locked in a sarcophagus, and the Gatewatch disrupt one of these murder ceremonies just as the foretold arrival of the second sun begins the apocalyptic coming of hours.
Bro.
Turns out, though, that Armageddon both isn't spiritual and also sucks. Nicol Bolas has been turning the champions of the trials into an army of Ultimate Warrior mineral
Bro.
zombies, and now he unleashes them upon what few people remain
Bolas.
on Amonkhet.
Typical
Turns out that
Bolas.
he killed everybody older than a baby on the plane many years ago. He also destroyed all life outside this one city and brainwashed the 8 gods into believing that these trials had always been their world's way, so they'd feed him a never-ending supply of elite warriors. Oh,
Brad,
and all
he
of the
just
worker
modified
mummies that maintain
memory
this
then.
utopia are
He
actually
did.
the reanimated corpses of all of the adults that the dragon killed when he first arrived on the world. Wait, did I say 8 gods? Yeah, 5 gods looked after the mortals, and then the last 3 Bolas kept back to destroy the other gods and the city once they'd both served their purpose. The
That's
Gatewatch
so
try and defeat
mean.
Bolas but fail miserably, with Jace getting brain bazookaed so
Oh,
hard
no.
that he planeswalks away, and what
Bye,
few normal
Jace.
survivors there are after the Hour of Devastation flee into the desert beyond the city. All of Bolas's murder machine gods attack the rest of the Pantheon, killing most of them. But the Red Jackal Hazoret's memory returns as she is saved by Samut, and when thanked by her god, the Speedster becomes a planeswalker due to pure spiritual euphoria. Yeah, it turns out you don't have to experience trauma to have your spark ignite.
That's
Go
nice.
figure. Before they retreat, however, Liliana finds and kills Razaketh, the penultimate demon her contract is connected to. The gang fucks off to Dominaria, where Nissa
Oh,
points
she's
out
so
that Liliana
hot.
has clearly been using the Gatewatch
She's
to go
so
after the demons
hot.
that hold her soul
Ooh,
contract as
Liliana.
opposed to doing anything
All
else.
of them,
And Liliana's like,
except for,
that is a
Gideon.
disgusting accusation with no basis in
Aye.
reality whatsoever. But since we just happen to be on Dominaria, there is this guy called Belzenlock that I kind of need to find, and Nissa leaves the Gatewatch. The rest
Bro,
stick
why
around
did
because they
Why
hear
is that
tell
guy
of the
hot
legendary
also?
Blackblade, which could be used
Yeah.
to slay Bolas and bump into a few old faces. Joyra and Squee, who aren't old faces because they're immortal actually.
Joyra,
Khan, who's
it's-
busy searching for one of
it's
those
the-
thermonuclear
it's the
serving cakes to
person.
blow New Phyrexia up with. Teferi, who gets bought out of his family man retirement when Joyra gives him a power stone that holds part of his lost spark. Jaya Ballard, who reveals herself and begins to train Chandra in more powerful forms of pyromancy. And Liliana's brother Josu, who's a
Yeah.
lich controlled by the Belzenlock-owned Cabal. They all
My
find the
God.
Blackblade, take a trip on the recovered Weatherlight, almost get eaten by a handsome young man, defeat Belzenlock,
Handsome
and
young
start
man.
working on their plan to take the fight to Bolas, when he just turns up and says, "You fools! Liliana's contract has a clause in the small print that upon the deaths of our 4 demon signatories, it defaults to me.
Oh,
I own her
no.
soul now. You fucking idiots, you absolute rubes!" And
Oh,
spirits her
no.
away. Then Jace turns up without a shirt on, everyone asks
Bro.
what he's been doing, and he says,
Can he just stay like that?
Jace sure himself without his shirt on.
You should have just stay that way, you know? Sell cards, take off your Planeswalker shirts. Yep. Look, if even Gideon was just showing a little bit of a little bit of skin. A little bit of armpit.
Says, smash cut to Ixalan a few weeks ago. Jace lands there with amnesia again and gets picked up by Vraska, who's now working for Bolas and runs a pirate ship. Girl boss alert! She's supposed to locate the Immortal Sun, a fabled artifact which was the thing meant to imprison Bolas on this plane all those years ago, and which is also making it so that she and Jace can't planeswalk away from this tropical paradise. Instead of killing him, Vraska pities the utterly memoryless Jace and takes him aboard her pirate ship. During their travels, not only do they find the legendary golden city of Arrasa, where the sun is located, but also find each other. Yeah, that's right, the wizard cop and the Gorgon pirate are falling in love. Then, thanks to a clonk on his noggin, Jace gets all of his memory back, even the stuff from his childhood that had been purged by Alhamret, and forgives Vraska for all of her misdeeds against him in the past. Vraska is also party to this surge in memory, becoming dismayed after seeing how heavily manipulative Liliana's relationship with Jace was.
Oh my god.
This story beat whips ass. A collectible card game's tie-in digital narrative has no right to be as nuanced and touching as this. Anyway, Jace wipes Vraska's mind with her consent so that she can work as a sleeper agent under Bolas for now, and Tezzeret collects the Immortal Sun using the planar bridge in his body when Vraska gives him the coordinates to it. Watley is a native to the plane who planeswalks to Kaladesh after the sun is removed and starts to date an artificer planeswalker called Saheeli there, and Azul tries to stop them all, pretty homophobic of you, Guy, but Jace wipes his mind and leaves him on the island that he himself arrived on. God, this guy loves fucking up Sphinx's minds. And the Sun Empire of the island of Ixalan, now in control of the Golden City, ferment a desire to sunset invasion the Iberian vampires that had been trying to do a colonialism on them. Oh, my patron here tells me that the plural of Sphinx is sphinges. I'll let Eminem know we found another word to rhyme with orange.
It's the Spanish vampires. It's a Spanish vampire.
Stuff, because here we get into the era of magic storytelling that made me fall out of love with the lore. Let's go! War of the Spark! Bolas's minions spring into action on Ravnica. Domri Raid, an ideologically incoherent runt, is boosted into leading the Gruul clans to sow distracting chaos on the plane. Vraska kills Isperia, the guildmaster of the Azorius, so that Dovin Barnes, still bitter from the Gatewatch, doing pretty much the exact opposite of what he hired them to do, can surveil the entire city and install the Immortal Sun on the plane. Ral Zarek, a somewhat on-again, off-again accomplice, is Inception-style inspired to develop Project Lightning Bug, a means to call all of the multiverse's planeswalkers to the city in case Bolas attacks it. Kaya, a similarly non-committal minion, has taken over the Orzhov Ghost Crime Syndicate, but ends up just killing the leadership and releasing the souls of their debtors into rest. Tezzeret sets up the planar bridge, and Liliana is forced to use the Chain Veil to take control of Bolas's vast army of Eternals. The portal is open slap bang in the middle of the city, and the army begins to march through straight into Ravnica, slaughtering everybody in their path, and Ral turns on his beacon, which is exactly what Bolas wants. He turns on the Immortal Sun to prevent escape from the plane just as all the multiverse's planeswalkers begin to arrive, and Bolas begins to suck their sparks from their body to fuel the Elder Spell.
He's sucking them.
All of their sparks into his body and give him pre-mending levels of power to rule the multiverse. Domri Raid, along with absolutely loads of unnamed planeswalkers only introduced into the narrative to die in the background, get killed off, and the Gatewatch have to mount a desperate last stand. It's all going terribly until it's not, and all of Bolas's minions are either killed, get unamnesiaed and fight him, or run away, and Bolas is defeated by the Blackblade. Oh, wait, that didn't work. Wow, that's just garbage. But wait, Liliana is in control of the zombies who are meant to be harvesting sparks, and even though she knows this will forfeit her life, she turns them and two of the resurrected gods of Amonkhet that Bolas eternalized as his personal bodyguards onto the dragon himself, ripping out his spark. Bolas tries to kill Liliana in response, but Gideon takes the burden of her contract onto himself, dying and being reunited with his childhood friends, and saving Liliana and the multiverse in heaven. Process. Niv Mizzet, who dies just before the invasion,
why did he have to
is
save
resurrected by the
Liliana?
guilds after Jace resigns from his job, and the dragon becomes the new living guild pact and arbiter of law on the plane,
maybe Gideon just wanted to die.
Especially not to the guild he's led for thousands of years that shares his name.
I've been here for too long.
Ugin spirits Bolas away to his meditation realm and has held him prisoner ever since. Oh, and Dark Faden also dies. He has absolutely no impact on the main narrative of Magic the Gathering, despite being one of the story's best characters, and it's a travesty that his introduction into the canon is when he gets killed off in the trailer for War of the Spark. May God have mercy on Greg Weissman and Nick Kelman's souls. Next comes War of the Spark Forsaken, and until somebody beats me in an arm wrestle where the stakes are that if I lose I have to agree that the events of that awful garbage are canon, I simply refuse to acknowledge it as anything more than a hideously overpriced piece of amateur fan fiction. Dovinbarn wasn't killed off, Chandra didn't randomly decide she is and has always been straight, and Ajani didn't grin his Leonin grin. We're moving on. Palette cleanser time. Garruk is still cursed by the Chain Veil, which Liliana has now disposed of in an attempt to hide from the many planeswalkers who are on Ravnica who just want to talk. The Beast Whisperer has been enthralled by the Fey trickster Oko into being a helpful dog servant. Oko is a quirky agent of chaos and almost sends the whole plane of Eldraine into war by turning its king into an elk. The king's children, Rowan and Will, discover this and undo the curses both on their dad and on Garruk, only for Oko to get away, and the horrible truth about the twins' birth is revealed. Turns out their birth mother, who they thought was a lady who died before they were born, was actually a witch who their father whilst he was on a quest, and he was only saved when their heroic stepmother came looking for him. This traumatic revelation ignites both their sparks and they disappear, with Garruk promising their parents that he'll look after them and planeswalking away as well. Ah, what a good surrogate uncle. This is the last time we will hear from Garruk for the rest of the video.
What?
Wow, what a deadbeat. Theros Beyond Death is the next set, and let's see what the official story says happened. Well, the book never came out, and this is what we got instead, a story summary that's 20 times shorter than this entire script, that, at bare minimum, does make my job easier.
I think it's because the
Elspeth wakes up
person who
dead in
world built
Theros'
Theros
underworld
quit.
being
Really? Oh no.
Yeah.
tormented by a
She wrote the Theros setting and the GGR setting for D&D.
And then?
And then she made all these settings. I forgot her name, but like I searched it up kanina. Let me check. Grabe siya, dude, like the amount of shit she made.
Wow. What and why?
Allison Lurs, that's her name.
What happened? What's the tea?
No, like she's left Wizards of the Coast. She made Throne of Eldraine, War of the Spark, World Building, Ravnica.
What? Is that why everything sucks now?
Zendikar Rising, Ikoria. I don't know, man.
Is that why everything is subpar now? According to the people that were here from the beginning.
But people say like this lady like really like carried the writing shit.
Oh well, they need to find another female to carry the writing shit.
Nightmare planeswalker called Ashiok, who accidentally gives her a special weapon that she uses to escape and defeat Heliod, trapping him Tartarus style, holding a big ball in the underworld. Oh, and the guy she was in love with, who she killed, comes back as a demigod, and the god of fate makes a champion to hunt Elspeth down, but he fails when she planeswalks away, so he simply planeswalks after her. Damn, they'll let anyone be a planeswalker nowadays. Let's go to a new world. Ikoria, a land of big mutated monsters, small-minded humans, and Peter wizards, except with less of the widely reported instances of animal abuse. Vivian turns up pretty much just to hang out with some cool animals, and wait, wasn't she introduced with her whole character's purpose being the wielder of a weapon specifically designed to kill Nicol Bolas? Where was she in War of the Spark? Well, you see, Greg Weisman was too busy working out a way to de-gay Chandra in his follow-up novel, and Wizards of the Coast were too preoccupied making their workers think up new products to release every other week to remember to coordinate consistent storytelling. She didn't do anything in that story, and she's the Pokemon Planeswalker now. Deal with it. Anyway, Luca is a bonder, a human with an innate connection to the monsters of the world, and is exiled from his home city, which hates bonders. He decides to use Ikoria's monsters as a weapon to destroy all of human civilization on the plane, but he gets stopped super easily by Vivian, and his Planeswalker spark ignites because of it. Oh, and the big monster rock that he was using to control the beasts of the world, that was also kind of talking to him, blows up. That's all you need to know about Ikoria. Enough of the new, let's go back to the old. Zendikar has recovered amazingly quickly since the Eldrazi almost totally destroyed it. The wiki says that this takes place only a year after Oath of the Gatewatch, and there's almost no trace of the Eldrazi, materially or socially. Anyway, a Tears of the Kingdom situation is going down, with Nahiri searching for a core super weapon in the floating sky ruins of Zendikar to quell the natural royal, even if using it will kill loads of people on the plane, you know, because Nahiri suddenly doesn't care about the people of Zendikar. She was in the Hell Vault for too long, and now all of her favourite shops are gone, I guess, and she's decided to make it everybody else's problem as well. Whereas Nissa wants to use the machine instead to heal the world of all the Eldrazi's remaining corruption, also quelling the royal, itself an elemental response to the Eldrazi's presence. An obviously better option that achieves both of the Planeswalker's goals, but Nahiri fights against her anyway because Corporate has her picture on the side of the corkboard labelled villains, so the story team have had to change the core's mentality from misled by revenge to senselessly evil. Anywho, Nissa wins, Nahiri is defeated, and Zendikar is finally
changes
healed.
people.
Also, Jace is there, switching sides as if
Why?
he isn't friends with Nissa and wasn't on the ground to see the last time that Nahiri had a say in how a plane should be treated. It can't be stressed enough how
What,
nothing in
Jace?
this set matters in the grand scheme of things.
Why?
Kaldheim, on the other hand, does matter. Finally, some good fucking food. By a mysterious individual, it's Tezzeret, to hunt a reported
Okay.
monster on the plane of Kaldheim, a Norse myth-inspired world.
Oh,
There
that-
she discovers two
that's
things.
so-
First, that the monster is one of the Phyrexian praetors Vorinclex, who absolutely should not be anywhere but New Phyrexia, and whose presence here is beyond concerning, and that Tybalt, a devil planeswalker and trickster fuckboy, has been part hired, part coerced by Vorinclex into bringing about the Doomscar, the demon apocalypse of Kaldheim. The devil's plans are thwarted and he flees the plane, but not before Vorinclex uses the cataclysmic distraction to steal the sap of the world tree that connects all of Kaldheim's realms together. This is the one thing we didn't want to happen. Oh heavens,
no.
look at the time. It's we need a magical school to visit o'clock. Strixhaven is a campus for mages on the plane of Arcos that
Oh,
Will
God.
and Rowan are invited to by a mysterious planeswalker called Casmina,
Oh, Will
who's
and
the
Rowan,
leader of
the-
an ancient and
Rowan, the
shadowy
kid-
order
the
of
kid.
planeswalkers and people with planeswalker
Wait.
potential.
They're the kids of the dude that died, I think.
Clock. Strixhaven
A long
is a campus
time
for
ago.
mages on the plane of Arcavos that Will and Rowan are invited to by a mysterious planeswalker called Casmina,
Oh, hot.
who's the leader of an ancient and shadowy order of planeswalkers and people with planeswalker potential. If the Gatewatch is the Avengers, Casmina's group are the Thunderbolts. The
Oh,
twins need
no.
to stop the
She looks
Orc,
a lot
clan
like,
of magical
what's her
college
name?
dropouts,
Like-
from bringing
like-
back the Age of Blood and plunging the plane
You
into the
know.
once unending war that they view
The
as
lady,
having
the blue
spurred
lady.
much of its magical innovation. Luckily, Luca is on the bad guy's side for some reason, so the twins beat them easily, but not before a World of Warcraft Kool-Aid man rips Will's leg off. Liliana has also been hiding out here after having given up
Oh,
the chain bear and is
hot.
trying to turn over a new leaf and
Hot.
forgive herself when the
Isn't
Raven
that
Man
enough?
pops back up and starts tormenting her again.
Liliana?
Well,
Yeah,
now that the Eldrazi have
hot.
been banished, Innistrad surely must be doing a lot better.
It's not.
Can you lot handle your shit for 2 minutes?
Well, I mean, you were
Jesus.
gone for a long
Because the
time.
chemical is in the moon, weird stuff to do with the day-night cycle has been going down, with the sun rising later and setting sooner. The werewolves started losing it as a result of being in wolf form far more often, and the humans of the plane have turned to a group of warlocks to bring the sun back. Arlen Cord, a werewolf planeswalker and leader of the smaller, hey, let's not kill the humans maybe faction of
Oh,
the werewolves,
Arlen!
asks
Isn't
the
that the
Gatewatch to
per-
help.
No,
and
that's not the
Teferi,
person.
Chandra, and Kaya show up to find a key to turn the big make the sun come back machine back on. Unfortunately,
Yay.
Soren's rival, a vampire called Olivia Voldaren, nabs
Oh,
the key
that's
from
the
them
lady.
as a horde of werewolves disrupt the human festival aimed at stopping the final
It's
sunset, and
Olivia.
the entire plane is plunged into eternal night. Also, Soren managed to get out of the wall off-screen before War of the Spark. Now he's back, and broodier than ever. Then Olivia steals and reanimates Soren's granddad and marries him. The Gatewatch crashed the wedding to free Sigarda, Innistrad's last guardian angel. Kind of, another one showed up, it's not important. And beat Olivia, get the key back, and restart the sun. Teferi warns Arlen to be on the lookout
Crimson
for Phyrexians,
Vow.
and oh, what do you know? There one is. Jin Gitaxis is bumming about on Kamigawa with some custom trousers. Peak
Oh, he
the
looks so
fit.
funny.
Yet
He's like
another
Goblin
Phyrexian
now.
Praetor being off their home plane is very
Imagine-
worrying indeed. And
Imagine
That's
at the beginning there was. Imagine at the beginning there were goblins, and now this is
Kato
happening.
returns. As it turns out, everybody's favourite bastard Tezzeret is the reason Gitaxis and the other Praetors are planeswalking, and he has a
Oh,
bone to
no.
pick with old Tezzy Boy, the person who Apple watched his childhood friend into the metaverse. Tamio turns up, tells Kato that the planeswalker known as the Wanderer is his old friend, and the pair help her return to Kamigawa to fix her spark. Unfortunately, their
Oh.
plan is cut short as Tezzeret and Gitaxis ambush them, kidnap Tamio, and the Wanderer's spark pulls her into a new world. Kato
Oh,
follows
no.
after her, and Tamio becomes the first planeswalker to ever be completed by Phyrexia. Previously, planeswalker sparks had staved off the corruption of Phyresis, but Gitaxis' time on Kamigawa
Oh,
had revealed to him a
no.
way to negate it.
Oh,
Ruh-roh,
no.
Raggy. The Phyrexian threat is growing, and Elspeth travels back home to the city of New Capenna.
Oh my
And now
god, do to her. They turned her into Gal Gadot. I didn't get Elspeth didn't look like Gal Gadot before.
hyper-romanticization of early 20th century worker exploitation, mob violence, and the lie of the American dream to search for a means to defeat Phyrexia. The plane had previously beaten back a Phyrexian invasion by using Halo, a substance derived from angels that acts not as a cure but as a weaponizable immunizing substance against Phyresis. But someone else is looking for Halo. That's right, it's old reliable Tezzeret, and he's fought Urabrask, the heretic praetor who, what's this? Is in almost open rebellion against the new Phyrexian cause and wishes to use Halo to tip the balance of power in the rest of the multiverse's favor? Tezzeret, you old dog, you're doing a double cross. How quaint. Could have done that before you kidnapped a lady who ran a storytelling orphanage and subjected her to a surgically experimental unlife, but better late than never. Elspeth finds the source of all of Capenna's Halo, which is a single young, seemingly mortal angel, the last one on the plane, called Gaida, who sacrifices herself to save Elspeth from the clutches of Obnixilis, who has supplanted the head of one of the city's demon-run crime families. Her sacrifice also sends a pulse throughout the world, returning the rest of the plane's angels, trapped as they were in the city's many statues by the demons who once fought alongside and ultimately betrayed them during the Phyrexian invasion, to the waking world. Like preview season, the train never stops, and we're back on Area where Phyrexia is invading yet again. Khan has found a Silex that he plans to use to destroy his enemies, but oh no, Sheldred is back and longer than ever, and Ajani throws Jaya off a mech on a mountain because it turns out he too has been completed and is under Elish Norn's direct thrall. Khan is recaptured but is now immune to Phyrexia's corruption, so instead he's disassembled and his Silex is scrapped for 2 colourless mana. Whilst all of this is going on, Liliana finds out that the Raven Man who's been tormenting her all of her life is actually the spirit of the necromancer Lim Dul. I knew that mentioning him way back in the Ice Age plot would be relevant. Kind of. Now lacking a Silex, Teferi sends his soul back in time to the age of the Brothers' War, not to interfere, even if his time ghost does interfere just a little bit, but to work.
Oh, I get it. The Brothers' War is between Urza and his brother whose name starts with an M. I get it now. I get it. That's the Brothers' War.
Of course!
How to recreate and then use the Silex, because the Gatewatch had kind of been winging it up until this point. The Artificer Planeswalker Sahili manages to recreate a filigree copy of the Silex from Teferi's instructions, but he gets caught in a time fracture and ends up trapped and phased out on Zalfir. Hey, at least he got to see it again. With that, now it's time to take the fight to Phyrexia, and look how they massacred my boy! Alright, Phyrexia, you went too far this time. A strike team of Elspeth, Jace, Vraska, Nissa, Nahiri, Kato, the Wanderer, Kaya, and Tyvar Kell, and Elfin Kalheim all join forces to take out Phyrexian leadership and detonate Sahili Silex in the core of the world. Unfortunately, Luca also decided to tag along, so the plan goes horribly. Half of them get completed, and Elspeth has to eat the Silex as Jace sets it off, because Elish Norn grew a Phyrexian version of Kaldheim's world tree that's connected it to the rest of the multiverse, and if this plane is destroyed, all other realities may be blown up too. Hey, at least a corrupted Tibok gets killed. Fuck that guy. Also, we find out the entire reason that Tezzeret has been working with the Phyrexians is so that they'd replace his strong Ethereum metal body with indestructible Darksteel, and the reason that he was also working against them was because he wanted to enjoy his new body in a multiverse without Phyrexian control. Essentially selling out the entire known multiverse for some new rims. Speaking of those other realities, it's time for them to get got. Norn sends the corrupted Angel Atraxa to New Capenna to stop the once-defined plane from being a threat. She then has Ajani execute Sheldred to consolidate more power in her hands, and sends him to corrupt the plane of Theros, where, whether he's aware or not, the Leonin repays Heliod's betrayal of Elspeth by turning all of his believers, and then him as a result, into Phyrexian monsters. The completed Vraska goes to Ravnica, Tamio attacks Kamigawa, Nahiri goes to Zendikar, Jace wanders off, and the entire Phyrexian war spreads across every conceivable plane of reality. Unfortunately for them, however, Luca is now on their side, so they're beaten so quickly and easily that the entire invasion doesn't even last one set. All of the Phyrexian invasions ultimately fail.
That's true, it's just March of the
quite.
Machine.
They pull a War of the Spark, where planes we've never seen before are brought into the story only to act as off-screen casualties to imply a greater threat that is actually occurring in the narrative. Everywhere that matters, however, does beat Phyrexia, whilst mysterious shadows seem to watch events from afar. But how do they win? First, Phyrexia's Worldbreaker tree is commandeered by the Dryad Planeswalker Wrenn thanks to a final assault from both the Mirren Resistance and Urabrask's 5th column, and she uses the branches of the tree to reach out to Teferi, finally reconnecting Zalfir with the rest of the multiverse, and the whole plane portals their way into the heart of New Phyrexia. Angels run Halo from New Capenna, whose citizens dropped a city block on Atrax's head to kill her, to the rest of the multiverse via Worldbreaker, and the invaded realms immediately begin pushing back against the invaders. At some point in all of this, Urabrask's forces are captured and the poor guy gets dismantled. Wrenn isn't done, however, and rather than just connecting Zalfir and New Phyrexia, she instead begins to swap their positions in the multiverse, which will lead to the latter phasing out of existence. Elspeth also turns up because her story was not yet done or something, and she's an angel now and beats Elishnorn up real bad. Khan also reassembles his broken body and deals the killing blow to the now defeated Mother of Machines, which causes... God, this sucks. Which causes anyone and everyone across the multiverse affected by the Phyrexian oil to shut down. Norn apparently reprogrammed all of the Phyrexian oil to be centrally controlled by Phyrexia or something like that, and so when she died and the plane phased out, it, I don't know, forgot how to oil? To be clear, I'm not mad at the writers for ending 30 years of storytelling with an Independence Day plot contrivance, even though the entire point of Phyrexian oil is that so long as one drop exists, Phyrexia exists. I'm mad that the company that makes the game, and most likely more importantly the company that owns them, deciding that a never-ending cycle of new products and lowest common denominator brand tie-ins are more important things to pursue over maintaining a once-rich legacy of brilliant storytelling in a unique world. Invasion Block was a 3-set epic that lasted nearly an entire year of magic and told the story of Phyrexia invading a single plane. In contrast, the time between Phyrexia launching their multiversal invasion at the very end of All Will Be One to them being completely wiped out from existence at the end of March of the Machine was 2 months. We have spent more time and cardstock exploring D&D's Forgotten Realms than we have in the midst of what ought to have been the single most important event in Magic.
They wouldn't have gotten my money.
In Apocalypse.
Let's just be real. If they never did the fucking shit with D&D, they wouldn't have gotten my money. They wouldn't have gotten our money. We would have been we would be playing Warhammer right now. That is the thing, you know. What do you call that? That was the road that had to be crossed in order to get here. I would be playing Warhammer right now. I would be painting minis. I would have, that's where all my money, that's where all the money would have gone. Not to this in particular. So, yeah, no.
Good grief. Anywho, a gravely injured Malira gives up her life and Khan gives up his spark, both their respective tasks in life complete with the destruction of Phyrexia, to heal and uncomplete Nissa and Ajani. But then Nahiri wakes up on Zendikar, also uncompleted.
Oh, that's hot.
Sorry,
that part's
Malira,
hot.
you died for nothing.
Nahiri.
Turns out getting exploded
part
with
of
Halo and
Nahiri in
losing your spark is
particular.
enough to reverse the effects of Phyrexian oil. Maybe. Wait, she lost her spark? Well, the many portals snapping into and out of existence throughout the multiverse has also messed up the sparks of many planeswalkers, causing characters like Nissa and Nahiri, but also Obnixilis, Kiora, Calyx, Tyvar, and some other chucklefucks to all lose their spark and planeswalker status. In the aftermath of the war, Jace and Vraska are AWOL, and a bunch of the planes are having to readjust themselves, like Eldraine, where a sleeping spell aimed at subduing the invaders has persisted and is causing problems throughout the land. Teferi plants a single seed, which is all that remains of Wrenn, who burnt up in the Worldbreaker into the soil of Zalfir, and the whole invasion has left Omen Pass throughout the multiverse, meaning that non-planeswalker interplanar travel might be an option going forward, and Chandra finally kisses Nissa, happy Pride, see, I told you Forsaken wasn't canon, and that's where we're at. What lies next for Magic's story? How will the aftermath of such an event shake out? Who will be the next grand menace of Magic's narrative? Will Tezzeret follow in Bolus's footsteps? Will the Eldrazi return? Will Lim-Dul's machinations expand? Will Nahiri's hatred of planeswalkers turn into something which threatens the multiverse? Will the cult that Kasmina's in charge of do something? Who were those watchers during the March of the Machine? Whatever happens, I can't wait to get my hopes up that the writers will be given time and space to produce interesting work, only to yet again be disappointed by the breakneck speed at which the company insists that a quantity of cardboard is better than a quality and richness of lore. appreciate that
What's
what
that
with this
one?
video
This
already being
morn?
over an hour long,
Is that
a
the one you
lot
were
of Magic's
saying?
deeper
Yeah, dude. Wait.
during the March of the Machine.
wait.
Whatever happens, I can't wait to get my hopes up that the writers will be given time and space to produce interesting work, only to yet again be disappointed by the breakneck speed at which the company insists.
Duskmorn. That's a horror. That's the one I was saying. Comes right after Bloomborough. I don't know if I would like Bloomborough because they're all tiny animals.
Insists that a quantity of cardboard is better than a quality and richness of lore. I hope you can appreciate that, what with this video already being over an hour long, a lot of Magic's
are they
deeper
gonna
lore had
talk
to
to
lie on
Markov?
the editing bay's floor, like Daragaz and the other primeval dragons rule, or all of the cool side characters like Nico, Tygam, and the travesty of what happened to Venser. If I had included all of that, then the video would have been far more comprehensive, and I would also still be writing the script for it long into next year. But here is where I do want to get a little bit soppy. The most popular video on my channel is both also the first video I ever released, and also
I've also watched
the
that.
most viewed video on the internet on the topic of Magic the Gathering's story. It is also, with the benefit of hindsight and my now years of experience writing, recording, and editing videos together, not very good. I've always wanted to make a new version of it, something that I could be more proud of, and something that does a far better job of efficiently retelling Magic
That's
the
what you
Gathering's
always
vast
feel
lore
like. That's
with better
normal.
audio quality. And when I hit 100,000 subscribers at the start of this month, I knew this is how I wanted to celebrate it. Thank you all for watching. Be it that this is the first video of mine you've ever seen, or if you were one of the first handful
my
of people who
second video
subscribed to
I've
me
seen
almost
of
half a decade ago. Without your eyeballs and without the generosity of everybody who supports me on Patreon, I would not have gotten this far and been able to reassess my work in this grand of a way. A massive thank you to you all. And an extra special thank you to all of my $10 patrons, who include 1, 2, 3, 4 Matsu.
Oh my god, that's so many
Sonda,
patrons.
Kobe Gordon, Kwasu, read this in. Well, you asked for it. Wesley, Zach G, Xanaron, and. Why did you turn into Mario falling down?
See, we needed to experience that last 8 minutes in order for me to realize that I've known this man all along. They were in fact the first Magic the Gathering video I've ever watched. That's all. Alright guys, thanks for being here.